This morning, Cardinals are descending on Vatican City from across the globe, pushing past the world's media, who have also descended to their first meeting. Of the 135 cardinals under the age of 80 eligible to vote in the conclave, the vast majority, 108, were appointed by Francis, including more than 20 from places that had never had a cardinal before.
This is going to be a very open process, it seems to me, in which two things are most important. One, does this man communicate a vibrant, energizing faith? And secondly, can he govern?
As the Catholic Church grows in Asia, Cardinal Luis Tagle from the Philippines is a frontrunner to be the first Asian pope. Referred to as the Pope Francis of Asia, with a heavy focus on social justice and caring for the poor. But at 67 years old, he's on the young side. Or will the Church stage an Italian comeback of sorts after 3 successive outsiders in recent decades? Italian Cardinal Peter Erdo is 70. He's an experienced Vatican official with serious name recognition. He served as Francis's Secretary of State, but he lacks pastoral experience. Another Italian, Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, is also on the short list. At 60, he's lived for the last 3 decades in the Middle East, currently serving as the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem. An Italian comeback?
I think right now, Molly, nationality means nothing in this. It would be very foolish to think of them as a united bloc.
Or will the Cardinals determine the Church requires a conservative voice rolling back Francis's progressive agenda? Cardinal Peter Erdo, at 72, is a leading conservative from Hungary, supported among the European cardinals, and is close to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. But it will all come down to the voting. The conclave gets underway 15 to 20 days after Francis's death. The cardinals sealed off inside the Sistine Chapel until a new pope is chosen. Now, another interesting thing about the cardinal electors this year, it's an incredibly diverse bunch. They don't all know each other. So a lot of the next 2 weeks will be about getting to know each other and then figuring out who is best to lead. Guys?
Molly, thank you so much.
Let's bring in NBC News analyst Christopher White, the Vatican correspondent for the National Catholic Reporter. Christopher, good morning to you. Thanks for coming back. I read yesterday that you said that this Pope was a shock to the system, and I know we're going to dig into some of the specific frontrunners in just a moment. But just on a macro level, Christopher, do we think that the Church will move in the direction of a reformer like Pope Francis, or do we think that they might go with someone who's more conservative?
I think it's fair to say the Church is at a crossroads right now. Do they want to continue on the path of reform that Francis initiated, of opening the Catholic Church up to the modern world, or do they want a course correction? That's the big question that the Cardinals will face when they have these backdoor meetings in the coming weeks. But I think, Pope Francis named 80% of the men that are going to be electing his successor, and because of that, I think it's fair to say they mostly share his same priorities.
We're kind of putting these cardinal contenders in categories. It's weird to be talking about something that's spiritual, but it's also quite practical. So there's the Italian strand of potential cardinals. Tell us about them.
Well, for a long time, there's been an appetite to resist giving the papacy back to the Italians. We had a Polish pope, a German pope, and then Argentinian pope. Is this the moment for the Italians? If there is going to be an Italian pope, I think Cardinal Peter Erdo, who is Pope Francis's Secretary of State, his top diplomat, he's a real contender. He has name recognition, and so he has to be taken seriously just on that alone. But the problem is he doesn't have pastoral experience, and for Pope Francis, he often said that he wants leaders in the Church to have the smell of the sheep, to be with the people. And so it's hard to square that vision of the Church with Erdo's resume. Also, Cardinal Pizzaballa, who Molly mentioned, is someone who's very well aware of the geopolitical circumstances of the moment, and that's why his name has also surfaced.
Christopher, I will take your potential Italian successors and raise you one former Archbishop of Manila. What can you tell us about the Cardinal Tagle, who was mentioned there? Is a 3-to-1 favorite from Newsweek, a progressive agenda like Francis. What do you think?
You know, Cardinal Tagle was a front runner in 2013. He's in recent years been referred to as an Asian Pope Francis because of his concern for the poor, his own sort of emphasis on humility. He's got the charisma, the wow factor that some people are really looking for in the next Pope. There are questions about how good is he at management, and I think that's something that Cardinals will be scrutinizing in the coming days.
Christopher, really quickly, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the American Cardinal and the Canadian Cardinal.
Yeah, Cardinal Robert Prevost, who's the head of the Vatican's office for looking for bishops around the world. He's Chicago-born, but he spent most of his life outside of the United States. I think that makes him someone who knows how the Vatican works from the inside, but he's not really viewed as an American, which makes him an intriguing possibility. And then there's Cardinal Conclave of Quebec City. He's seen as a real manager who sort of shares the Pope's vision and pastoral priorities, but more emphasis on government.
All right. Christopher White, we're going to have to keep you close here over the next few weeks. Christopher, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Raise your hand if you watched Conclave yesterday. I knew it. You watched it again, too?
Well, I watched the start of it.
Okay.
I watched the whole thing.
Carson and I were going back and forth.
I know. All right. Al, you told us that Conclave was a great movie
I did,
months and
indeed.
months ago.
I loved it. And the other thing, today's Earth Day, and Pope Francis was very into the climate, making sure that we are good stewards of our planet. So let's try to remember that today. Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.